All right, today we're diving into a massive environmental project in Pakistan's Indus Delta. We're talking about a huge plan to restore a vital ecosystem and, fight climate change. But behind all the incredible numbers, there's a much more complex human story.
So you've got this multi-billion-dollar project that on paper promises to be a win-win-win. A win for the environment, a win for the local economy, and a win for the global community. But the big question we've got to ask is it really delivering on all of those promises?
Okay, so to really get why this project even exists, you got to look at the bigger picture. Pakistan is right on the front lines of the climate crisis. We're talking about rising sea levels, devastating coastal erosion, stuff that threatens millions of lives. And that kind of urgency, well, it creates a space for massive and, let's be honest, potentially very profitable solutions to take root.
Now, before we go any further, we need to talk about the financial engine driving this whole thing, and that's the carbon credit. I know it sounds kind of complicated, but trust me, the basic idea is actually pretty straightforward.
Okay, so think of it like this. It's basically a permission slip for pollution. A company or even a country can buy these credits to offset its own emissions. Each credit represents 1 metric ton of CO2 that's been pulled out of the atmosphere by a project somewhere else, like planting a forest. And these credits, they're bought and sold on a global market. The price can be anything from $10 to hundreds of dollars.
So here's how you connect nature to cold, hard cash. It's a simple process, really. A project restores a natural ecosystem, in our case, mangrove forests. And these trees are absolute superstars at capturing and storing carbon. So for every ton of CO2 they suck out of the air, the project earns one of those carbon credits. Then they can sell that credit for a profit. It's a system literally designed to turn conservation into a business.
And that, right there, brings us to the project at the very heart of our story today. So let's take a look at the official narrative, because honestly, on paper, the numbers are just staggering, absolutely staggering.
It's called the Delta Blue Carbon Project, and it's a huge 60-year partnership between the government of Sindh province and a private company. The goal? Well, it's both simple and massive. Restore the vast mangrove forests of the Indus Delta.
Just look at that number, 73,125. That's how many hectares have been restored. It's really hard to even picture that. To put it in perspective for you, that's an area larger than the city of Chicago, just completely replanted with these vital mangrove trees. The sheer physical scale of this it's just immense.
And guess what? Those trees are already hard at work. They've already captured 5.4 times million tons of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So if you're looking at this from a purely climate-fighting perspective, that is a massive, undeniable success. No question.
Okay, now let's talk about the money. The project has already sold over 3.1 million carbon credits, and that's generated more than $40 million in revenue. Just let that sink in for a second. $40 million. And remember, this is just the start of a 60-year plan. Now, according to the official reports, that money isn't just sitting in a bank somewhere. No, it's supposedly being used to transform the local communities. The project claims to have created thousands of jobs, improved the lives of over 70,000 people, and provided better access to all kinds of essential services.
So from the official point of view, the key here is that this is a partnership. An official from the Sindh Forest Department basically said, look, the conditions in the Delta are so harsh that only local people can do this work. And their involvement, especially getting women involved, is crucial, not just for the project's success, but for their own economic well-being.
So, that's the official story. A resounding success on all fronts. But what does it actually look like for the people living and working in that Delta day in and day out? Does their reality match the glossy reports?
I want you to meet Hasina Bano Mala. She has worked planting mangroves for this project for 12 years. 12! And her story? Well, it paints a very different picture. Despite all those years of hard work, she lives in a temporary hut after her home was destroyed, and she's struggling just to support her family.
When you put the two narratives side by side like this, the disconnect is it's stark. Now, Sina earns about 1,200 rupees a month. You know what that is? That's roughly $4 a month. She says the local schools, the health centers, they're in terrible condition. And this personal, lived experience stands in such sharp contrast to those big, sweeping claims of widespread community improvement.
But hold on, because it would be completely wrong to say the project has had no positive impact. The truth on the ground is, well,
it's just as complex as the project itself. And for a lot of people, the changes have been very real and very beneficial.
Just take the local fishermen, for example. For them, these restored mangroves have been a total game changer. The new forests protect the coastline from washing away, and they act as a nursery for fish. What does that mean? It means bigger catches and more income. They've even seen birds and animals that had just vanished from the area start to come back. That's huge.
So, how do we make sense of all this, right? We have this story of huge environmental restoration and massive financial success on one side, and on the other, a story of deep, persistent poverty. They feel like complete opposites, but they are both true at the same time.
This little scorecard here really helps break it down. Environmentally, it's a huge win, no doubt about it. Clear benefits for everyone. Economically, yeah, it's a massive success on that macro, big picture level. But that $40 million hasn't fully trickled down to solve the really deep problems for individuals like Hasina. And the community benefits, they're real for sure, but they obviously haven't reached everybody.
So I think the crucial point here, the big takeaway, is this. Massive success and individual struggle can absolutely exist at the exact same time in the exact same place. The Delta Blue Carbon Project is successfully healing an ecosystem. It is generating millions of dollars. But it's not a silver bullet. It hasn't solved and maybe can't solve the generations of poverty and lack of infrastructure in that region.
And that leaves us with a really critical question. And it's not just about this one project, but for this whole global market of climate solutions. When a project saves an ecosystem, what does it truly owe the people who live there? When we put a price on saving the planet, how do we make sure the profits don't just bypass the very people who are on the front lines? It's a question we really can't afford to get wrong.